to go all-out attack in this first game. He knows that if things backfire, though, then losing a first game might be terminal for his chances. I think Levon Aronian, he will go on the attack, but if there does come a moment when things start to turn against him, he'll try and play on the fact that Radjabov will be nervous. Radjabov is the one with something to hold on to and protect.
And it's like seeing two football managers here. One has dressed up in his suit with his jacket, and then you have Aronian, the football coach maybe, that likes to use his tracksuit. And
he's a lot more relaxed, isn't
he?
Somehow it just seems a little bit casual, but definitely this is a little bit deceiving because look at him. He is super focused. I think he's munching on some sunflower seeds just to get that energy going, and he is getting himself in focus, ready for killer mode. But Radjabov, we have seen such a cool customer. I've never seen the like.
And here we are, the very final day of the Airthings Masters. It started, David.
It has started, and we do see some very quick moves. Levon Aronian, he opens the game with his king's pawn. Radjabov has actually reacted in a kind of copycat manner as black. This is a very solid opening. It's known as the Italian opening. Both players very well rehearsed in these lines, and Levon Aronian there pushing a pawn in the centre. It will come down to who gets greater control of the centre, whose pieces can get into the game quicker. The one strategy actually here by Levon Aronian that I think is obvious immediately is the fact that he's kept all the pieces on the board at this early stage. Yesterday, we saw lots of trades early in their games, queens often disappearing very early on, but this time, Levon Aronian, he's keeping as much tension as possible.
So, as you can see here that they have essayed a king's pawn opening, and at the high-level chess recently, there is a renaissance or a reappearance of this king's pawn opening, which have almost been forgotten before because usually top-level chess have debated around d4 openings, and sometimes, if ever, in the e4 openings, it's mostly of the Roy Lopez opening. And while this one it's some sort of a Gyoko piano opening. So let's proceed.
Possible. Both kings there as well, castling away, just shifting away to the right there. Very nice and safe. This is going to be a long game full of tension. He's going to hope that Radjabov either isn't as familiar as he is with the plans, or that Radjabov just doesn't deal with the tension quite as well as he does.
I think it's very interesting to look at Levon Aronian here. He seems very calm, almost smiling a little bit. Do you think he's trying to, hoping that Timur is watching his webcam and sort of saying, this is no problem, I'm coming for you?
Yeah, I think Timur, maybe yesterday, he did have an eye on Aronian's webcam, and Aronian didn't look too happy, so maybe he's going for a different strategy. There are definitely mind games in these one-on-one knockout battles. It's all about the psychology. And meanwhile, Aronian playing very quickly. He's actually got a minute more than he started with in this game already. He's definitely done his homework. He's talked to his coaches about this position. Will Radjabov react correctly?
Well, interestingly enough, Levon Aronian actually played this exact same variation in an earlier game, not against Radjabov, but against Grishuk. And that game finished in a draw. So definitely this was one of those weapons in his armory.
Yes, and already we see kind of a key moment, and that's why Radjabov is thinking. And if we bring the board up, we can see there's one key element to this position. There's one really tense situation going on, and it's caused by this bishop creating a pin along this diagonal. The black knight, it cannot move because the black queen would then be attacked. So this pin, it's very awkward. You normally want to get rid of it as soon as possible as black, and that is why he's pushed his pawn forward, kicking away this bishop. This bishop retreats, but look at the black king suddenly. The black king has lost some of its shelter, lost some of its protection. It normally wants to have pawn wall in front of it. These pawns, they've pushed a bit too far forward. So this is a long-term weakness. Can Aronian get at that black king later on, or will this not be a weakness? Will the fact that white's bishop is now a bit blocked in, will that be more of a factor? Levon Aronian, this is known as a risky variation. It's normally something that I was told as a child is not good for white, but lately it's come into fashion in these must-win situations.
And yeah, exactly. Something you would play only when you really have to win. Is that it?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. It's a very tense position, actually. You know, it's all about control, with the black trying to control absolutely all the pawn breaks, and white is trying to catch Radjabov on the wrong foot. So, yeah, I also heard the same a piece of advice that this was not a great opening for white, but, you know, having seen the list of who's playing, it's become very fashionable in this last few years.
Yes, and actually one of the most painful memories in my chess career was on the black side of this exact position. Actually, not that last move, but I had a game. Both sides needed to win, actually. And as black, I did push that pawn in front of my king. It did backfire. The black king later became weak in that game, and I did lose. I did go down to defeat. So will Radjabov be able to improve on that? The black king... Personally, I just think, especially in speed chess, when you don't have too much time to protect the king, to worry about defending, it's easier to attack than defend, remember, when you don't have much time. I do think that might become an issue a bit later on. Meanwhile, Aronian, so calm and so quick, still at 16 minutes on the clock, and just shuffling across the white rook there to a better line. I think Aronian, Jovanka has called him Mr. Centre before. He will be looking to push forward and explode the centre with the pawns now that the black king is a bit weak.
And with this being an opening that is, sort of warned about for white, as you said, could that also mean, though, that Timur hasn't looked at this too much, and that could be one of the strategies for Levon to surprise Timur, obviously?
Yeah, definitely. This is certainly one of the kind of surprises that you kind of launch, especially when someone isn't employing their main repertoire. Radjabov isn't kind of known to be one of these kingside pawn players. Instead, he's kind of been very challenging with the Sicilian. And now this is why Aronian has chosen quite a fashionable line, quite a critical line. And he's just asking Radjabov, show me your familiarity with the position. So much tension here. And I really do like the kind of idea that white has provoked black to expose their king.
Yeah, it's very provocative, this type of position. And yesterday, we did mention that maybe Aronian was playing on his opponent's home turf, in his opponent's comfort zone. And this is definitely not the case today. Aronian, he's going to be far more comfortable. Actually, for most of his career, he's played the black side of these types of positions. Only lately, he started to play and experiment with the white pieces in this opening. But he just has that greater experience, and that is telling at the moment. On the clock, Timur Radjabov, almost 4 minutes behind now, but he does make a move. He does copy white again, bringing the rook to the centre of the board. That's not a move that I would normally make.
Certainly not, David. You're right there. This has actually not really been seen too much at the higher levels. Everyone is kind of playing towards the centre. It's all a bit cagey. But here we see a completely different approach.
Yeah, and if we bring up the analysis board, we can see maybe why black's last move, bringing this rook across, isn't the most popular move. It's because the most vulnerable spot in your opponent's camp is often a pawn that's only defended by the black king right now. It's only defended by the black king. The rook was guarding it last move. It is no longer protecting this pawn. So white, long-term, does have a target. The bishop eyeing up this pawn, this very uncomfortable pawn here. Meanwhile, white does develop. Later, I expect to see white try to open up the centre, because when things start to get juicy, when complications happen, when they get messy, it always favours the side with the safer king. And at the moment, that is definitely not black.
All right, we do see on the screen here on the top, it says 0-0. That is obviously the score today, as this is the first game. And we can also see in the yellow the numbers there, Timur Radjabov leading the match, winning yesterday. So he is 1 point up, and Levon Aronian, he has to win today's match to take it to tie breaks. And a good start for him then, I guess, with white pieces here.
Yeah, I really like his strategy. Whether it works or not long term, that will come down to just their nerves a bit later on, and how well they can calculate how sharp they're feeling. But this early stage, it does look like he's stumbled across a better strategy, at least than yesterday, more promising strategy. He's kept the tension, all of the pieces, all of the pawns still on the board. Definitely, that's not what Radjabov wants to see. Especially when you're leading, you just want an easy kind of, you want a game that you know what you're aiming for. Here, there's just so much to worry about.
And he did raise his eyebrows a little bit from after that move by Timur. Is it a surprising one?
I'm surprised by it. Black there retreating his bishop up to the corner. Bishops are very long-range pieces. So the black bishop, it's on a decent square there. But it was already on a decent square. So maybe a bit of a indecisive decision there by Timur Radjabov. He's just thinking, OK, I don't really know what else to do, so I'm just going to retreat my bishop. Levon Aronian was surprised by that. But he will recompose himself and focus on how to open up the position now. I expect to see a bit of manoeuvring for the next few moves.
And yeah, we have seen, I think I've seen a few smiles on Levon's face so far just before the game. But now we're seeing him doing his normal routines, stretching and getting into the game. Do you think he's actually enjoying this, Jovanka, being back in a big final and fighting for the big prize?
Yes, definitely. And I think Aronian is one of those players who just loves chess as well. It comes naturally to him. And he just, with his stretches, this just allows him to be fully absorbed into the game. And he knows that his opening strategy has worked. I sense with his satisfaction that Radjabov perhaps is making a few unusual moves. But however, the position is so tight that it actually probably doesn't quite matter at the minute. It's just that sense of comfort that Aronian is getting. He just knows, OK, he just has to make a few normal moves. And as David mentioned, the plan is to take the centre, but you've got to do it at the right time. So there's going to be a lot of more waiting, manoeuvring around.
Yeah, and Levon, he will be looking to open up the position, but he does know that maybe just maintaining that tension a bit longer will play on Radjabov's nerves. We should also mention to viewers who are new to us, we do see a purple bar just above the players' cameras, and it does say that White has a small advantage. So the bar says 0.4 at the moment in White's favour. That's not a big advantage. It just shows maybe that if both players played perfectly, White has slightly the better chances. It just shows as well, maybe White's position easier to play. And there we do see White's knight retreat. White's put his knight on the back row there, next to the White king. Maybe keeping that White king very safe, but I think that knight will plan to jump forward to a better square later. It will jump into the centre. Meanwhile, Timur Radjabov, he's lower on the clock, and it does feel like the plan is harder for Black with this vulnerable king. And he decides, OK, it was hard to find an idea. So when in doubt, let's trade off some pieces. Let's hope that that brings a bit of safety. And Timur going to try and swap off the light-squared bishops there.
Yeah, that's a very instructive kind of move. You tend to want to swap off those light-squared bishops. I've seen that on many occasions. And I think the general rule of thumb for Black is that if you're able to swap off those bishops and capture the White bishop with a piece, then this tends to favour Black.
Yes, especially with the weaker king, it means your king will be less of a target if pieces come off. And if you don't damage your position in the process of trading those pieces, I think Levon Aronian, he has a choice here. He could allow those bishops to leave the board. He could also run away with the White bishop. So, yeah, if we bring up the board, we can see the two choices that await Levon Aronian. He could capture this bishop right now. As Jovanka mentions, Black will just take this bishop back, and Black maybe is feeling more confident after that transition. Instead, the move that I would play, and the move he has played, is to avoid that trade. He's keeping all the pieces on the board. This bishop now lining up against the knight, against the Black rook, perhaps as well. And it's hard to kick this bishop away. This bishop temporarily is on a very strong square. Meanwhile, I think Levon Aronian, he's getting ready to start pushing his pawns in the centre.
That is the big idea. So now we're kind of seeing a little bit of a dance. You know, we saw it before in yesterday's match. There was a queen dance, and now we're seeing the bishop dance because the bishop has now retreated. And Levon is thinking, no, I'm not having any of that. And instead centralises the knight. The knight is getting ready to jump into some delicious looking squares on the Black side of the board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really liking what Levon Aronian has done over the last few moves. He's keeping the tension. Those white pieces, the knights and the bishops on that right side, they are perfectly positioned to later try and jump forward and, well, try and attack the Black king simply. Meanwhile, it's still hard for Timur Radjabov to come up with a plan. There we see his typical pose that we saw yesterday and throughout this whole tournament, closing his eyes, trying to work things out. He just visualizes things better with his eyes closed, he mentioned.
Yes. And one thing I have noticed about both these players is that Radjabov likes to relax by drinking very regally, I have to say, some cups of tea. And we do have a tweet from Taunajum Luwan Gamba who says, how many cups of tea will Radjabov drink during the matches? Thinking. And then there's also another observation from Krishnan Gopala who says, with the seeds and water inside Lev Aronian, he is blossoming on confidence.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So, you know, the players, we're actually getting to observe their eating habits here, actually. It's something that's actually is very intriguing to me, like what kind of diet should a grandmaster follow? Because you need to keep your energy stable. You can't have these crashes and these dips. And yeah, I mean, we can see it here, like Levon Aronian is eating seeds. And
I heard on several occasions that world champion Magnus Carlsen stopped eating sugar mostly before his world championship matches.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I remember he used to drink orange juice and that suddenly stopped. And he also used to snack on raisins. Again, that stopped because the energy provided was too inconsistent. It would give him this big rush and then a big dip. And obviously, if you're going to have a big dip, then your concentration, your focus will suffer. And that could be potentially quite catastrophic.
And maybe better to also save it for when you really need it. Because I also remember one time when Magnus Carlsen played in an he had to finish off a match with an Armageddon. And then he brought up a Coca-Cola to get the blood sugar up.
Yeah, exactly. Especially towards the end of today as well, being the final, the players, they know that the last couple of games, they won't have to worry about those kind of dips in energy afterwards. It's all about that final game. So, yeah, they'll be aiming to peak at the right time. Magnus Carlsen as well, he's so professional with his weight, kind of when he wakes up, he knows that his body, his mind will peak maybe 4 to 6 hours after he's woken up. So he always adjusts his body clock accordingly. These players as well, they definitely seem to have a routine that suits them and brings out the best.
It's not actually, they don't actually only play the tournament and the games, maybe the 4 hours that they're by the computer. It's something that goes on the entire day, both before and after the games, I guess.
24 hours, it's their sleeping pattern, it's their preparation in terms of studying their opponents. Everything's planned in advance. And,
but it kind of makes sense. I mean, this is the thing with chess, is that people are always very surprised, but then they wouldn't be surprised if sportsmen were doing it. You know, they have the physiotherapist and what have you not. And I do know that when some teams play in the big Olympiad, which is held every 2 years, some teams take their own physiotherapist with them just to give them relaxing massages.
Does the British team do that?
No.
I'm not sure we quite have the budget. But the Russian teams, they bring a physiotherapist. They often bring a chef with them.
Wow.
They have a huge team around them just to make sure that the players are in peak condition. And meanwhile, we do see a bit more manoeuvring. This time it was Black who decided not to trade off those light squared bishops. White's bishop has had to retreat. But in the meantime, Black's position hasn't necessarily improved. OK, Timur Radjabov bringing both the Black knights now over towards that right side. The two Black knights are very near the Black king. Remember, knights are a king's best friend. Those pieces, they'll do a defensive job. So Timur Radjabov just preparing in advance, a bit of prophylaxis there. He knows the attack will come a bit later on, so those knights are ready to defend their king. Sensible play by both sides.
But only 7 minutes left on the clock for Timur Radjabov. He today has spent a lot of time.
Yesterday he was maybe quicker than Aronian at some stages.
But we have seen Radjabov actually use a lot of time. It's just we've also seen him be extraordinarily calm in that time pressure. We've seen him play brilliant moves with just 1 second left on the clock, which still takes my breath away, how unbelievably composed he is. I've never seen anything quite like it. But a very tense position. Because it's Radjabov who's playing so well under time pressure, I'm not necessarily that concerned with the time difference.
Well, we did talk to him in the interview after the games yesterday as well. We asked him about what we're seeing so many times, him leaning back and closing his eyes, obviously thinking about the next moves. And he said it was natural for chess players to close their eyes. And you disagreed a little bit, David, that in online chess, maybe we're seeing a new, very successful tactic here. Yeah,
maybe this is why he's succeeding. I mean, it's something I've never done. I'm quite a visual player. I like to be seeing the board. I like to just know for a fact exactly where all the pieces are at all times. And maybe that's why he's excelling, especially in these very complicated positions. He's closing his eyes, completely fresh start. He's calculating very far in advance just by being able to do that. And you often see players leaning forward, very tense. They that stops them from reacting so quickly, from staying calm. And he's succeeding somehow.
Yeah, I think he's using a lot of over-the-board techniques that we've kind of perfected, and he's applying them to online chess. And I think because online chess is so intensive and you get so excited, everything is magnified, that maybe chess players are actually forgetting these techniques. Because like David says, when I'm playing online chess, I'm also leaning forward. I'm holding the mouse for dear life, and I'm there getting ready to just pounce. And maybe this is the new way to play. You just take a step backwards, just calm yourself down, and kind of then reach for the mouse.
Yeah, look and learn from Timur Radjabov now, thinking about his next move. And there it is.
Yeah, the Black Knight actually jumps forward. I thought it was pretty well placed where it was, but he decides, Timur Radjabov, that the knight is even better. That knight on an active square, that knight now jumping into white's half of the board. I did like what Aronian was doing there, Aronian's last move with white, just shifting the queen across one square. But can he react to this knight jump? If we bring up the analysis board, we can see there's a big decision ahead for Levon Aronian, and that is all to do with this knight. This knight is a thorn in his side, it's a nuisance, it's in his half, but getting rid of it does bring consequences. If white ever captures this knight with his bishop, then we might see a capture of this bishop back. For example, if black captures this way, suddenly the knight in the center is forced to move. If this knight moves, if it's forced to retreat, suddenly the black bishop becomes extremely strong. This black bishop, its scope has been increased. Also, black's pawn just holds a lot of squares. This pawn chain, we've talked about pawn chains in previous days. This pawn chain is very hard to break down. It's a long-term strength for black. Therefore, I think white, as Levon Aronian, he will not capture this knight anytime soon. If he does, it's likely to backfire. He's going to be looking for other plans, but playing around this strong knight is not going to be easy.
It's a very sophisticated position. I have to be honest here, this is one of the reasons I kind of gave up playing with my king's pawn, because I just couldn't get the handle of this position. There's so many pieces on the board. There's a lot of wait and see. You know, basically white is going to maneuver still a little bit more and still go for the central break, but it's going to be at the right time to catch them on the wrong foot. Okay, so that is why you see Levon has centralized his rook. He's planning to push a pawn in the center just to kind of create maximum tension. And but still, he has to wait. He's not quite ready for it just now.
Yeah, he is building up. When in doubt, we often talk to our pieces. We ask which piece is happiest, which is least happy. White's rook in the corner there, it wasn't very happy, so he does centralize it, just preparing for any action in the middle there. So a very sensible move by Levon Aronian, but the position is still closed, remember. No pawns and no pieces still have been traded, and we're almost at move 20. This is a very rare sight in modern chess. We saw games yesterday, speed to move 28, and lots of pieces have been had departed from the board. This time, no trades. Levon Aronian going for a different strategy. Will it backfire? I'm not sure. I still like white's position, but black's last moves have been very sensible. Now black improving his queen there.
What should we expect to be the first pieces to be traded off then?
Good question, Kaya. Difficult question.
It actually is a difficult question. I mean, it could be pawns. I'm expecting a pawn to be traded off in the near future. But again, the big question for Levon Aronian is the time now just to open up the position and push that center pawn? Or does he need to be even more patient and perhaps retreat a bishop or something and carry on with the plan of waiting?
Yeah, so there are two main options in this position. If we bring up the board, we can illustrate what Jovanka is kind of anticipating here, and that would be potentially the move, pushing this pawn forward, trying to make use of the fact that he's got his rook supporting this pawn. Maybe, Kaya, the first trade of pawns will happen in the center here if white does this. But he has to be careful that if we do see a trade in the center, okay, white has options, then maybe white's pawns will be weak as well in the middle. So this could backfire. He has to decide whether this is the correct moment. If he doesn't go for this, then we expect to see more maneuvering, more waiting. Maybe the white bishop will just retreat to a safer square. Bishop's still long-range pieces. It will be great on that square in the corner, but will it be better than where it is now? It's so many questions for Levon Aronian. He's still got a bit of a time advantage, but he has to decide, is now the moment to strike, or does he continue to tiptoe around and just play the waiting game?
Is this simply just a very different position than we had in the games yesterday?
Completely different. We did ask Levon Aronian for something new. He needed to do something different. we're yet to see the full results of that, but I think he'll be happy with the fact that at least the game is still going. It hasn't kind of fizzled out, simplified too much yet, because in those simplified positions, Radjabov was maybe the better player.
Yeah.
So do you think Levon, with the white pieces here, had sort of seen this position and then thought, okay, if I go to the final and final day, I'll bring this out? Or is it just with the situation in the final, him having to make a comeback, that made him choose this opening?
Well, he did, in fact, choose this exact variation against
right.
Alexander Grishuk. So I think this is something that he has prepared. And I don't think he knows what exact move order he has to play. I think he's just basing it on his familiarity with the position and just basing it on the fact that, OK, I'm going to adopt this plan. As you can see here, there's like a lot of hesitation at the minute. Both sides are waiting. It is very tense. OK, well, having said that, we have to get back to the board because we have seen Levon Aronian has made a decision. He's not manoeuvring anymore, David. He is going for it. The pawn has finally been pushed.
Yeah, we might finally see some trades after almost 20 moves here. Levon Aronian, he's decided this is the moment. And now the game, the kind of structure of the game, just the essence of the game is going to change completely. Now it will be all about which pieces are better placed for the action. We will see some trades in the center here. And actually, we do also see, just below the players' cameras, the top suggestions by the computer. The computer thinks that black should trade that pawn in the center, should capture that pawn that has just advanced. If black doesn't do that, then there's a risk he might have a disadvantage. And actually, I think this is the most natural move. That being said, it's also a very committal move. If black captures this pawn, he has to worry about maybe white's knight taking. And one of white's knights is going to jump into this square. For example, if black gets greedy, if black captures in the center, so many pieces in the middle of the board now, so much tension, but white can start to jump forward, attacking the black queen, attacking this pawn as well. Also, the white rook suddenly released along this line. Anything could happen here. It's complete chaos. But both players now, the clocks are ticking. Radjabov under 5 minutes. He has to work out. Does he capture this pawn in the middle? Does he just sit still and do nothing? He could also, the computer suggests, bring the rook to the middle and just continue playing the waiting game. But that is very hard for a human to do when you only have 4 minutes to sit and hope for the best and just do nothing because it's just not human instinct.
Yeah, it totally is not a human instinct. It's actually a very difficult position for Radjabov because I did try my hand. OK, he has captured the pawn. He is going for it. Finally, a piece is left the board. You know, I did like Iron Lord's 321's tweet, which said literally no pieces have left the board. It's so unusual. It's so complicated. But here we have our first trade. And yeah, he is really going to go, well, the position is just going to explode, isn't it, David? It's such a difficult decision to make because black's king is really exposed. And so if he does open the position too much and he's not well prepared for it, then this position could just collapse, basically.
Yeah, it's like one of those really dramatic movies where the music, it starts really slow, it starts slowly building up speed, and then suddenly the drama happens, and suddenly...
Like in Jaws?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Kaya.
I don't know why I had the image of a musketeer. Oh. Like, and I went, oh, my friend.
I just saw the shark, like... It's coming.
Yeah, the action is coming, and Levon Aronian, I'm slightly surprised he's spending some time here. I would have thought, having been the one to decide to open the position with his last move, he would have a plan ready, a plan in place for black's capture, which we did agree was probably the most natural reply. So will white capture that pawn back with his knight? Will he capture back with a pawn? Big decision here for Levon Aronian, but he does need to try and maintain his time advantage because we have seen Radjabov. He has been the better player when the clocks tick down, when they're both under 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. So with that picture in our head, with that shark, who is the shark here? Who's sort of going for it now?
Well, Levon has struck first. So now it's all about, the position is just going to explode. And like David says, I'm slightly surprised that that Levon didn't actually prepare an answer to this, that he's thinking about the position right now, because the clock is ticking down past the 5 minute mark, which we all know is a magical number when the players start to feel the pressure a little bit. So when you play in such a committal way, you do have to have an answer ready. So I'm expecting Well, I was expecting a knight to capture the pawn. What are you expecting, David?
I was expecting the same. Normally, I love to install those knights in the middle of the board. I did highlight a moment ago as well, white's knights do have some potential to jump further into the position if he captures with that knight. That being said, Levon Aronian, he is Mr. Centre. He likes putting pawns in the middle of the board and for his pieces to control the squares around those pawns. So that's possibly why his instincts are to say pawn takes pawn here in the centre. But either way, he needs to start trusting his instincts a bit more. He spent almost 3 minutes now on this last move, and that's not a good practical decision. The game won't be decided over the next 3-4 moves. It will be decided a bit later on. So he does need that time in the bank. And okay, he finally goes, finally plays a move that I did not even consider, I must admit. And Ivanka, does that surprise you? Bishop takes knight.
It did surprise me. I wasn't expecting that as well. But, you know, okay, fireworks are now happening. The Black King is about to be blasted into the open. So there's so many lines. But I think that this decision is going to come at the cost of a pawn.
Yeah, so basically this is a pawn sacrifice for Levon Aronian. If we bring up the board, we can see that Black has a choice here. Black can capture this bishop or he can capture a knight. Temporarily, he's a piece down, so he has to make this decision, which piece to capture. I would be very tempted to capture this bishop first with a double attack against this white knight. This white knight has to move. The knight will jump forward, attacking the Black queen, and when it's captured, suddenly we see a lot of tension. And also, on this line, notice all the pawns here. Both sides have the craziest pawn structure I've ever seen.
It's very nice, though. I mean, look at it. Pretty as a picture. Pawn, knight, pawn, pawn, knight, pawn.
Okay. What should be our name for this one?
The drunk pawns.
Okay, the party line.
Exactly, the party train.
Yeah.
If this happens, though, Black's queen will have to move. The Black queen under attack from White's rook. If it retreats, then maybe White has the time to capture this pawn back finally in the middle of the board. It does look like maybe Black's king is slightly weaker than its counterpart. Black's king is slightly open with some squares, some open lines around it. White's king, meanwhile, nicely protected by this wall of pawns. I think this would slightly favour White, but we'll see. Timur Radjabov is the one to make this decision after bishop takes. Does he capture this bishop? Or does he capture this knight? Big decision. Taking the knight is maybe a bit more solid.
Yeah, so both players now settling into the tank and trying to figure things out. In fact, we did kind of mention our concern with Levon Aronian having played such a critical move that he didn't have, well, a quick answer to that. And also we have a tweet from Patrick Chopal who expresses the same worry. Levon plays d4 and after a natural pawn takes pawn, he's burning time. He's off today. I'm not sure he's off today. I think he's just been a little bit cautious.
Yeah, I think both players may be just warming up at these early stages in the first game. Both players have played much slower than they did yesterday, and that's purely because of the nerves. Levon Aronian, meanwhile, okay, he has to react. Timur Radjabov did go for that move that we suggested. Will we see that crazy pawn structure?
I loved it. The party train.
Train.
We want to see a party train. Jump with that knight and attack the queen.
Yeah, again, I'm surprised that Levon Aronian is thinking there. He was taking a pause to have a drink, but he's burning quite a lot of time relative to how much he has left. And I think his move's quite obvious. That white knight in the middle is attacked by 2 black pawns right now. That white knight has to make a move.
And you have to go forward. There's just no option. If you're going to go backwards, well, what are you doing? This is an open position. Things are heating up. Black has an exposed king. You need to go forward. So yeah, and just to kind of remind ourselves of the clock situation, Radjabov has just under 2.5 minutes. Levon Aronian is coming up to 3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, and I think there's just no choice. Just jump forward. It's not even Aronian's style to retreat here. We very rarely see him give way and kind of backpedal unless he really has to. And he was the one who chose this kind of this position, this kind of mess in the centre. He was the one who initiated things. So why would he even hesitate about this decision? Why would he even consider retreating? That white knight should jump forward for better or for worse. He's also giving Timur Radjabov more time to think about the consequences, to try and calculate further ahead. Levon Aronian does look like he's lacking a bit of confidence today.
He is thinking, and it is a big day for these two. It's a big day in the Champions Chess Tour. It's a big day for chess with the first major final in the Champions Chess Tour. And this is related to the quiz of the day, Ivanka.
Yes, we are asking everyone at home, what is your favorite chess moment? If you want to join our competition or just join in the fun in general, please tweet us using the hashtag #ChessChamps and we'll feature your suggestions on the show. And the lucky winner will win one of these Airthings devices, which measures the air quality in the room. And I must admit, I'm totally obsessed. I love seeing the statistics.
Yeah, it's a great way to head into the new year, measuring air quality and maybe doing something about it if it's bad.
Wow, and meanwhile, we have had Levon Aronian shock us, maybe shock Radjabov with a really unexpected move. That knight, the white knight was attacked twice, remember, by two of black's pawns, and he just ignored it. He's pushed forward in the centre with his own pawn. This pawn move, the computer hates it. It thinks that this is a big move, a blunder, but white has some ideas. He's attacking black's knight, and maybe if black captures this pawn, he's got the idea of dropping his queen into a monster square, bringing his queen forward, the white queen, attacking black's king. It looks like a queen sacrifice, but the black pawn cannot capture because it is pinned. This white bishop would then attack the black king. So this would be, I mean, this is so creative. He's threatening to kind of semi-sacrifice his queen, but not quite. And suddenly black's king would be a huge target. This is Levon's idea. Will it work? That is yet to be seen. He's pushed his pawn forward, opening up the diagonal for this queen. I do think maybe black has calmer options here. And the computer there, we see the top move. It's not obvious, though, pushing a pawn forward to block this white queen. This is not easy at all for a human. This is
with
black's
only 1 minute
move.
on the clock for Timur Radjabov. This is the move he has to find.
Exactly. That is the move he has to find. There's only one path to victory. The rest of the options lead to a very unclear position. And he has 1 minute on the clock. Wow. Yeah. This is so suspenseful. Will he, won't he? And he hasn't seen it.
He doesn't find the best move there. Suddenly, white's queen has jumped forward, attacking the black king. As we mentioned, this is check. The queen cannot be taken, remember, because that black pawn was pinned. And we see suddenly a huge turnaround. Timur Radjabov, he missed the winning move, and now he's losing. That white queen, it is going to do all the damage. Black's king under attack. I don't know why Timur Radjabov is thinking here. Surely he has to move his king right now. Surely he has to move his knight right now to block the check. If he moves his king, I think he will be losing. And there we see the black knight has blocked that check. And white's bishop drops back. White is threatening checkmate in one move. White is threatening to use his queen to jump up and take that black knight. The black king would be trapped. So the white queen and the white bishop teaming up there. Suddenly, white is winning. How can Timur Radjabov defend this position? It's not easy. He can actually win a rook right now with black. He can use his pawn in the middle there, the black pawn. OK, he's gone for it.
Yeah, he's gone for it. And we're going to see black go up one rook. But the problem is his king is just too unsafe. It's such a beautiful idea, actually.
Yeah, a beautiful idea. White has actually sacrificed, well, temporarily, white is a rook and a bishop down. But he is checkmating his opponent. He's got a winning attack. Timur Radjabov, he must have missed this. He panicked when low on time. He underestimated white's attack, and there's just no way for black to defend. I think black will have to even give up his queen, potentially, to defend against this coming attack. Remember, white is threatening checkmate now.
Yeah.
And 10 seconds for Timur Radjabov.
And he has to make a move. I predict he's perhaps going to push a pawn just to try to block off that. OK, he has instead giving up the bishop. So now white can simply play bishop takes bishop.
This is intense.
Yeah, black giving up a bishop there, but it doesn't change anything. Suddenly, white gains a bit of material back. He was still threatening checkmate. Black's pawn drops forward. So the black queen now is defending the knight at the corner of the board. So checkmate is temporarily prevented. But we do see just below the players again, the computer suggestion. There's only one winning move for white. Again, it's the most natural move. White should capture the black pawn that has just stepped forward. Levon Aronian, he'll be looking at that one. He knows his attack is winning now. But he's taking a break to just calm his own nerves, I think. He knows he's winning, but he knows the path is still quite narrow. He still has to be accurate to finish off Radjabov here. If we see white's pawn capture the black pawn that's just moved, Aronian will win the game. Will he find that move?
Yeah, he will definitely do that just by, what a beautiful idea. And now I agree with you, David, that is the most natural move on the board. But I'm impressed by Levon Aronian's genius there. This is a move that would totally escaped our radar. We didn't even think about it. And okay, it had a hole, but it was a gamble and it paid off big time. And now when you're attacking, it's super important to remember you've got to invite all your pieces to the party. And so we're expecting white to capture the pawn that has just moved forward and then after some rook trades to introduce a knight.
Yeah, I must admit, I did see that move earlier. I just thought it didn't work. But Levon Aronian, he saw deeper than I did. And it was a bit of a gamble, a calculated gamble earlier. Levon Aronian just rolling dice, saying, OK, it might not work, but the pressure's on you. The clock's ticking down. Can you find the defence? And Radjabov didn't find the defence, but can Aronian now take advantage of the fact that he has this huge attack? The Black King under incredible pressure right now. He has frozen a bit. He's ticking under 1 minute. He needs to keep, he just needs to keep his rhythm. He found some fantastic moves over the last few turns. He needs to just capture that black pawn and then work out the consequences. He's doing it the other way around. He's trying to work out the consequences first, but there's simply no other option. White should take that black pawn off the board, attacking the black queen, and then start to think. But
yeah,
okay.
It's like a rush of the blood to the head, right? He's desperately trying to figure out the calculations, but also at the same time calm the nerves. Because when you play a beautiful sacrifice like this, your heart starts pounding and you get super excited and your brain starts thinking, whoa, I'm going to win. And he just has to calm down. He's got less than 20 seconds on the clock.
He can move, Levon.
I don't even see another sensible option here.
No, he has 10 seconds. Keep going.
He has to capture that pawn.
Make the move. Okay.
And he did. And he did.
He has done it. So Black's queen is now attacked twice by the white pawn and the white rook at the bottom of the board. The Black queen has had to sidestep white here, Levon Aronian. No. This is the position he was trying to work out. Yes. Can he find a winning move?
He has to trade the rooks. He either has to move the rook or he has to trade the rook.
1 second.
Oh, he's done it.
Oh, gosh. I actually thought he didn't move. Oh, the bar shift's completely over. Is it a blunder?
No, I think it's a mouse slip. I think he wanted to
look at him shaking his head.
I think he...
Do we see a devastating mouse slip?
I think he tried to go...
No, it's definitely not a mouse slip. He moved immediately. He replied immediately. So he must have seen this before. Okay, I think he's just miscalculated here. Black's now given up the queen. So Black has actually sacrificed his queen, but in return, he has 2 rooks and a bishop for White's queen. So Black is up on material. Rook's worth 5 points each. So together, that makes 10. The Black bishop as well worth 3. And White only has a queen left. Levon Aronian, he must have missed something there. He just miscalculated. I'm shocked. That was Black's most obvious defense. And Levon Aronian trying to save this game suddenly after having a winning position, trying to give perpetual check, trying to continuously check the Black king. But Black's king, it does have a defender around it. Another huge turnaround. We've seen 2 of them already in this game.
Wow, this is one of the craziest games so far in the Airthings Master, and it is in the final. Levon Aronian, he needs to win a game today to win the match. And this is not looking good for him now.
No, we have a situation where Black has 2 rooks and a bishop. And you have to remember the words of my dear old father, who says a queen by herself does not give checkmate. He usually said that to me with a little, Yovi, look at the board, it's just a queen.
The wise man.
Can he hope to save a draw here, though?
There's potential for a perpetual check because while the Black king is unsafe, the computer, of course, is like this all-seeing oracle. It sees everything and works out all the nuances. But, Radjabov is human and, he is making a dash with his king.
Yeah, the Black king trying to run away there. We did actually see Levon Aronian shake his head quite violently. He knows he's lost control. Timur Radjabov just trying to escape with the Black king. If he can stop the white queen from giving check, if he can just somehow get that king to safety or find a perfect way to combine the Black pieces. Remember, Black has these 2 rooks and bishop. That's 3 pieces. If he can coordinate them correctly, then Black will win this game. But at the moment, Black's rook, especially in the corner, the top left corner, that is asleep. So it doesn't help stop the checks. And although the computer might give Black a winning advantage here, a plus 2.5 advantage, it's not easy. Queens are tricky pieces. This one, I still think Levon Aronian with white has decent drawing chances, but he will be kicking himself for not finishing off. He was actually trying to be too clever. That move that you thought was a mouse slip, I think he was just trying to be too clever.
Okay. Well, we have some tweets. Naughty Chess says, this is crazy time management. And Yonon M, who says, Levon made this Italian middle game explode.
Wow.
Oh, it's over.
We have seen a draw, the position repeating itself. Both players, surely they'll be disappointed with that game. Timur Radjabov was actually winning in the final position. He just couldn't find a way to escape the checks.
Yeah. But also you have to kind of...
So this is already a draw. I think this is a draw. And to all the viewers, this is Lansky and all the viewers of Pinoy Chess out there. For those that have not yet subscribed, I invite you guys to subscribe for you to be notified of our upcoming videos and upcoming live streams. So let's continue with the game.
When we cut situations like this, you can't be too harsh on Radjabov because, you know, he was losing. He knows that he was losing, and then to kind of make that adjustment and just to kind of go, okay, I'm now actually winning. That's difficult. I actually struggle with that transition.
But look at these two. You can definitely see Levon Aronian. He is very, very disappointed. He obviously knew at some point he was in a very good position here. I think actually Timur also looks disappointed, but we have to remember a draw is an okay result for him. If he draws the match today, then he will be the winner. Wow, what a game. I think that must have been one of the most interesting games in the Airthings Masters so far, David. And there were many, many turning points.
Yes.
But where did Levon suddenly get that?
Okay, actually that applause was for both players. For Levon for making that very exciting game, very exciting attack, and for Raja for being able to held the draw. Although with a bit of some help from mistakes from Levon, that rook e6 is a mistake. You could have just exchanged that rook directly to rook takes e8. And the bishop, yeah, let's go back again. Maybe somewhere here. What if this rook just have gone to rook takes e8, then force is rook takes e8, rook a to e8, and then we have here knight g5. I think this is a crushing attack. Already a crushing attack here. The only way to defend is queen. We have queen g8, and you have f7, forking the rook and the queen. And if queen takes g5, then we have pawn takes e8 and the pawn with queen with a check. And the only defense would be knight, either knight f8, then queen takes, the new queen would take that knight, or either queen would take that knight, then checkmate in 2 moves. Or if queen g8, then we have also queen takes, the queen at h6 takes h7, checkmate, since the pin at g8 would be pinned. So that's all. Thank you for watching this live stream. Actually, this is a late live stream. I'm just replaying the game 1 with the commentator shown on their comments. So thank you for watching this video, and thank you very much for watching my stream, and see you guys on the next stream. Bye bye.